Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, my review and impressions of the 2026 Mazda CX-30 crossover SUV, the Montana license plate loophole, and China's answer to Rolls-Royce. To join the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest a topic for future discussion, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number, 872-222-9793, or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. For those of you who enjoy Substack, you can find me at Ken, the letter C, IOWA. I am a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. From the Tech Mobility News Desk, big question. Let me start with a question. Did you know that Chevrolet builds a medium-duty truck? Sort of. And it's okay if you're confused or you didn't realize it. Let me give you a little perspective and history. Since 2019, they came actually back into the market. And rather than dedicate a GM assembly plant to build them, they actually contracted with International Harvester / Navistar to build them. And we're talking about really what they call the Silverado medium duty, which is above a 3500. Launched it in 2019. So it brought GM back into the Class 4, Class 5, and Class 6 conventional truck segment after being out for over 10 years, following the sunsetting of the Kodiak and the Top Kick, which if you're a certain age, you might remember those. The Bowtie brand outsourced some of its development and all of its assembly to International Harvester, rather than building the vehicle in-house. Think about it. A pragmatic decision that enabled both companies to share the cost and risk of bringing vehicles to market. By the same token, since International was building it, they were also building their own version and putting an International sticker on it. 8 years. With them exiting the market now, they still build the Chevy Low Cab Forward, which has been developed and produced by Isuzu, and they've been building it forever. I didn't even know that was still getting built brand new, but it is. And that will be the biggest and mightiest commercial truck in Chevy's fleet. Let's talk about this for a minute. Do you remember a day, and you're literally going to go back 50 years, when Ford had a big medium-duty and heavy-duty truck line? Dodge had a medium-duty, still do, well, Ram now, and heavy-duty truck line. GM had medium duty, heavy duty, and they built buses back in the day. As the industry continued to put demands on capital, available assembly space, and competition, the big three who owned that part of the industry for many, many years took the hard decision to get out of it. Dodge first in the late 1970s, Ford pretty much by the late 1980s. GM was long out of the heavy truck business by that time. And again, in the 80s, they were out. Truck and bus at GM was no more, pretty much. The truck and bus division, which GMC used to be called, by the way. Because if you built a bus, it was a GMC bus. And the medium and heavy duties were typically GMCs. What did they sell last year? Give you an idea why they decided to bail. The news lands amid softening demand. GM sold a total of 8,341 medium-duty Chevy Silverados. The year before, 10,319. The average assembly plant running at full strength, not overtime, but just full out, builds 250,000 units a year. There's no way these suckers were profitable. And they were heavy duty too. These are not something that were rebranded half tons and 3/4 tons. No. These were heavy duty frames based on medium duty chassis. It's a whole different truck. heavy components, industrial components, because all of these trucks, for the most part, were for industrial uses, heavy construction and things like that, vocational trucks. These were not the trucks that you bought to tool around in, just to tool in. No, these were work trucks for real. And they did the heavy, nasty, heavy-duty stuff on the construction sites and towing the heaviest, nastiest, hairiest thing that they can tow. International selling plant. Because GM's not going to move this in-house, that's it for both the International branded and the Chevy branded. The International one was called the International CV, and the plant that's being sold is in Springfield, Ohio. There was a time they were built in Flint. But this is the challenge, people. When you are in a capital-intensive industry with long lead times like the American auto industry, you got to make decisions. And your decisions that you make today won't be fully felt for 3-4 years down the road. And you trust you make the right ones. You're looking at billions of dollars in investment that there's no way that GM was going to make back. Not when you're selling at these low levels. And I have to assume that the International truck wasn't selling much better. So you're running at what? Barely 10% of plant capacity, International Chevy combined? How can you even justify running the plant? Well, guess what? They didn't. Times change. They are looking at assets. While I have taken issue with GM and some of their decisions, Bright Drop is still a thing I think they should have never did. Or, stop building them. Because I really think they quit too early. But this is black and white. These numbers are horrible. And for the investment required, you can't even get close. And I'm sorry, industry exists to make a profit. If they can't make a profit doing it, they can't justify payroll, investment, product improvement, anything. There's no money to do it. So these are gone. So if you happen to be a person in the market for a Chevy medium-duty truck, you might want to hurry down to your dealer, your medium truck Chevy dealer, because they're not going to be around much longer. And in fact, I believe that they stopped building them. Let me see if I can find the date. And we're talking about the Chevy Silverado 4500 HD, 5500 HD, 6500 HD, and select Chevy Express and GMC Savannah cutaway van variants. And I'll explain what that is in a minute. Looks like September 30th is the magic date that this will be over. So if you're thinking about a medium-duty Chevy, you might want to get down there now. Because after September 30th, that's it, baby. Whatever got built, got built. And by the sound of this, there's no way this plant's running every day right now anyway. So the other thing I would be curious about is this, if you've got orders in, you might want to check with your dealer and make sure that these orders for these trucks are still going to be fulfilled, because they've drawn a line in the sand. September 30th is it. And it really depends. Sometimes they'll honor what they've got and they'll shove production earlier, and sometimes it is what it is. But also notice this. Ford ain't in that market. Well, I'm sorry, take that back. They are, through their Super Duties, into the light end of the medium duty truck market, but they're not in the Class 5, Class 6, Class 8 anymore. Dodge has been out of this totally for almost 50 years. They've been gone. The regular truck manufacturers that you're familiar with, Kenworth, Peterbilt, Freightliner, they're at it, but they're not. Their factories don't support hundreds of thousands. They're optimized to build the number of trucks that they build, because these are heavy-duty, very heavy industrial components. It's not the same as running a light-duty line at all. So it gets down to economics. Unfortunately, less players means higher costs for the folks that remain. GM looked at the tea leaves, and on this one, I kind of find it hard to fault them. But I do wish they would take a second look at Bright Drop, or at least sell it to somebody, because I've checked that truck. I was way impressed. saw a lot of upside if they were willing to stick it out, but they weren't. Slotted between the CX-3 and CX-5, the CX-30 received upgrades in the last few years. How does it stack up? You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
The all-new Mazda CX-7 has got the press making a lot of noise. And it all started with a whisper.
Zoom, zoom.
The turbocharged, direct-injected 2007 Mazda CX-7 Sport starts at $24,345. Or get a special introductory $289 a month lease for 24 months with $31.84 due at lease signing. The SUV you never saw coming has arrived.
Zoom, zoom. The CX-7 and the CX-9, which were Mazda's previous entries into the crossover market, very memorable. But that was it. That was, 29 years ago. How time flies. The Mazda CX-30, however, is a subcompact crossover that debuted at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show. Positioned between the subcompact CX-3 and the popular CX-5 compact, it was engineered as an SUV equivalent to the Mazda 3 to provide more cabin space and higher ground clearance. The CX-30 was the second model to adopt the latest evolution of the Japanese automaker's Kodo design, a more mature interpretation of the striking design ethos. CX-30 combines the flowing beauty of a coupe with the strong proportions of an SUV. Manufactured at the automaker's Salamanca, Mexico facility, the current model of the CX-30 is based on the fourth generation Mazda 3 and is available in 6 non-turbo and 2 turbocharged editions. The Mazda subcompact crossover was introduced in North America as a 2020 model. The current Mazda CX-30 is only offered with an all-wheel drive train, targeted at American drivers who are single or married and starting a family. This review focuses on the attributes and performance of the CX-30 Turbo Air model, which is one peg below the top-of-the-line Turbo Premium Plus. The Mazda CX-30 Turbo Air is equipped with a 2.5-liter Skyactiv gasoline turbocharged engine making 237 horsepower and 300 foot-pounds of torque using regular 87-octane unleaded gasoline. Now, I point this out because if you have the wallet to afford 93 octane, the performance numbers as published by Mazda are slightly higher, 250 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. Energy is communicated to all four wheels via a Sky-Active Drive, electrically controlled 6-speed sport automatic transmission. EPA fuel economy numbers are 22 city, 30 highway. Cargo capacity is 45.8 cubic feet with the rear seats folded. Here's what I liked about the CX-30. I'm still in love with the standard Mazda infotainment system. Displays, controls, and switchgear are easy to see and use. The driver enjoys a good outward view, although it still seems to be more car than crossover. This trim level has a power rear hatch, automatic power up, power down windows, front seats that fully recline, a head-up display, power sunroof, front wireless phone charger, rear window wiper and washer, and my personal favorite, heated front seats and a steering wheel. And that's a heated steering wheel. The cargo area is larger than what you would expect for a vehicle of this size. And the best part? Yep, the spare tire is in-car accessible, located under the cargo floor. You know how I feel about that. Yay, I love that part. Here's what I didn't like about the CX-30, and I gotta say, this is a long list that isn't necessarily comprehensive. Despite its DNA, I found its acceleration and response to be average at best, with the on-demand sport mode adding only incremental improvement. Yo, Mazda, what happened to Zoom Zoom? Along those lines, handling and control is considerably more skittish than you would expect in a Mazda. Let me stop right here. Fun fact, last summer, I had a Mazda 3 hatchback. I donated to the Marshall County Sheriff's Department $250 because that thing flew like the wind. And unfortunately, I decided to find out. And I had to pay another $125 for driver's ed class, which I gladly paid to keep my license. That sucker was fast. This one, not so much. Bluetooth and I had issues when trying to switch between Pandora, because of course they didn't have Sirius XM hooked up, and making a phone call. And I'm being polite. I'm not going to go into all the details, but it wasn't okay. Another major complaint I got, the adaptive cruise control is pure nanny state by deciding on its own that I'm taking a corner too fast and decided automatically and dramatically in a few cases to reduce my speed by upwards of 10 miles an hour. Mazda, two things. I know how to drive, and number two, I wasn't going that fast. So I got a problem with that. Finally, on top of all of this, I found that the automatic transmission was actively hunting for gears in hilly terrain. And I say aloud, software updates to the transmission? I mean, if you've got all this torque, why was it hunting? And then finally, there are only 2 USB ports for the entire cabin. For its placement within the Mazda lineup, and especially its lack of inspiring performance that I've come to expect from Mazda, I found the fuel economy to be disappointing. Maybe there's a hybrid in the works? Yo, Mazda, anything? No fog lights. A distinct lack of nooks and crannies. Finally, the rear seating area is snug, even for 2 people of short stature, and is barely usable for families with growing kids. 2 kids. Yeah, not going to happen. And finally, we won't even discuss the price, which for this trim level and its offerings seems way high to me. So here's the bottom line. I thought I'd never say this about a Mazda, but I am. This is a small crossover that sends a mixed message. If Mazda meant for this vehicle to be an urban grocery getter, it's way overpriced, about $8,000 too much, even at this trim level. If it's meant to be a corporate statement wrapped in a smaller footprint, it is noticeably unfinished. The base manufacturer suggested retail price for the 2026 Mazda CX-30 Turbo Air starts from $34,410. Destination charges add $1,495. Now, I need to include this because I think it's only fair. If you are interested in this vehicle, the base non-turbo models start from $26,375 for the CX-30S to $33,640 for the premium. And no, I have not driven a non-turbo CX-30. But I will tell you this, all CX-30s, even the non-turbos, are all-wheel drive. And that's fair. Vehicle is tested. I drove a CX-30 Turbo Air with the following extra cost options. A cargo cover, illuminated door sill plates, Mazda navigation system. Total cost of the options, $1,190. Total MSRP, including options and destination charges, $37,095. I gotta wonder, they say this vehicle is based on the Mazda 3. The Mazda 3 is a lot of fun to drive. Oh my goodness. And it's fast. Same turbo engine, by the way. So I have to think that the issue is not the motor, but however they recalibrated that 6-speed automatic. And bear in mind, we don't have drive modes. We have normal, we have sport. That's it. No eco, nothing else. That's what you get. And I'm just not sure. I really think maybe you'd be better off with the CX-5. Is a reason why it's extremely popular in the Mazda lineup. And it still is. Spend the extra money, buy the CX-5. You'll thank me later, really. Or if you can fit, find a Mazda 3. Maybe a hatchback. Be a better thing. A Montana license plate loophole benefits classic car owners. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Collectors of high-end performance and classic cars have flocked to Montana to benefit from what many other wealthy car aficionados have been doing for years. Former Montana LLC purchased the vehicle through their new shell company. Montana's become sort of a Cayman Islands tax shelter for car collectors because it levies no general sales tax. And lawmakers have created rules to allow tax-free vehicle purchases by the LLC. Problem is, not all these folks live in Montana proper. This is Topic B. This is how this works. You go to Montana, you create a limited liability company. The limited liability company buys the vehicle to register in Montana. Even though you don't live in Montana, Montana will send you the plates wherever you are in the country. There's a slight problem with that. Just because it's legal in Montana, it's looked at in a lot of states as tax evasion in other places. Meaning, a certain number of Western states have actually set stuff up to track these LLCs, Montana LLCs, where the people actually don't live in Montana, like maybe California, Utah, some other states. And it's a lot of money. One guy who is showing off his Ferrari online, $400,000 Ferrari, lived in Tennessee, Montana plates. He screwed around and burnt the thing up. Tax authorities saw it, checked it out, realized he's a Tennessee resident who is evading tax on that vehicle. And he got arrested. Because, bottom line, it's not necessarily legal in the state where the car owner usually lives. In Iowa, if you live in Iowa, for example, you got 60 days if you are a resident in this state to get Iowa plates, full stop. You're going to have a problem with a vehicle like that if you don't register it here. It's a problem. California, in addition to Tennessee, California and Utah have launched campaigns to identify and collect back taxes from owners of these shell company vehicles. Bear in mind what I'm about to say is Utah. Last year, Utah Governor Spencer Cox signed legislation to create a data sharing network to locate and access residents driving vehicles with Montana state plates. Folks that live in Utah with Montana state plates. The Utah effort could yield up to $100 million in back taxes. $100 million. If you're a state, any state right now, you're being pinched from all sides. $100 million, that's a lot of money. Meanwhile, California, they have identified close to 500 California dealers involved in more than 2,500 sales in the last 3 years to customers claiming to use the vehicle in Montana, but they live in California. These sales, many involve luxury or exotic cars, cost the state more than $10 million a year in lost tax revenue. So why are they doing it? Well, people will go to great lengths to avoid taxes. And the problem is, if you live in a high-tax state, I don't know, like California, maybe Virginia, you have motivation to try to mitigate that tax bite. Let me give you an example. In Massachusetts passed in 1971 something they called no-fault insurance. The problem with no-fault is the insurance company pays no matter what. If there's an accident, it's not a question, they pay. It drove rates so high that for a lot of people, their monthly insurance premium was higher than their car payment. So what did they do? Little loophole. They got actually a post office box over the line in New Hampshire and registered their car in New Hampshire, living in Massachusetts, to get around the insurance. When I moved to Iowa from Massachusetts over 40 years ago, my insurance for my modest car, it was a $6,000 car, bought brand new, dropped by 90%, and the coverage I got was 5 times the coverage for a fraction of what I paid for in Massachusetts. People don't like paying any more than they have to. But let's put this to balance a little bit. If you are able to afford a collector car, a super luxury car, where that tax bill will be that high, should I feel for you? Really? Is it fair that, we're paying the same rate on my little $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 car that you are paying on your $750,000, $1 million plus car? Just because the aggregate might be in the tens of thousands of dollars tax bill. Does it make it fair? I don't have the ability to go to Montana, set up an LLC to buy my car and get Montana plates. It makes no sense. So there's a give and take. They could push back and saying, well, the tax rate's so high, I was looking for a way to mitigate it. Yeah, it's legal in Montana. It don't mean it's legal in your state. And I guarantee you in a lot of states, it probably isn't legal because a lot of states have similar laws like Iowa. If you are a resident, you have 60 days to change your license. You have about the same, I think it's 30 days to change your plates, I believe. But in any case, it's a law here. You can't just go bouncing around. Now, do they really enforce it? I don't know. Been here 40 years. I got Iowa plates. I got an Iowa license I've had for years. So couldn't tell you. But the point they're making is that the Montana LLC structure is closer to illegal tax evasion when residents of other states effectively falsifies their records to dodge their state sales tax. Car owners are being aided in the deception by a cottage industry of firms in Montana willing to help set up a shell company for a fraction of what they would otherwise pay in sales taxes. The counter-argument is, well, in high tax states in like California and Virginia with high personal property tax rates, well, people are going to do what they got to do. My problem is this. If you have the money, if you've been blessed by either inheritance or the work of your hands or brain or whatever to make that kind of money, step up, stop whining, pay your fair share. I'm sorry. I just can't sympathize with you. The rest of us are pulling our weight. We're paying our taxes. We don't have the tax strategy ability with some fancy tax accountant or financial advisor to do all this fancy stuff. No, we put our money in local banks. We support local businesses and we buy locally. It's what we do. And we pay our taxes, county taxes, state taxes. I don't feel for you. If you got the ability to buy a $1 million car, all the power to you. Pay the tax. Sorry, just pay the tax. Because you're cheating the rest of us by trying to preserve because of where you chose to live. Not our problem. If you want to be Montana, move to Montana. Move to Montana. Then it's legal. Then you ain't got nothing to worry about. We live in Iowa, Utah, California, Virginia, somewhere else, Massachusetts. Pay the tax, y'all. You chose to live in that state for a reason. Pay the tax. Stop trying to beat it out of the rest of us. Life is hard enough. That's all I'm saying. Pay the tax. I read this. I wanted to share it because people are trying to do legal stuff just to save taxes. It's not okay. Not even remotely a little okay. It's 18 feet long and manufactured with the help of 1,000 robots. It's China's answer to Rolls-Royce. We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. It's big. It's opulent on steroids. It's Chinese, and it's posed to take on Rolls-Royce in China. It's the Maxtro S800, an electric battery-powered car manufactured in Hefei, China, and runs on technology from Huawei, a Chinese company best known as a maker of mass-market phones. Before you judge, before you laugh, remember, BYD, which is now currently the largest manufacturer of EVs in the world, started out as a small battery company over 30 years ago. This is Topic C. At an imposing 18 feet long, this Maxtro S800 sedan gives off Rolls-Royce vibes with its two-tone color scheme and abundant soft leather. But it's built in China with the help of 1,000 robots. And it's the preeminent symbol of what Chinese automakers push to dominate the top end of the car market. Chinese companies know they don't have the heritage of a Mercedes or a Rolls-Royce, but their strategy is to stuff their vehicles with so much gadgetry that owners forget their dreams of European luxury. Let's give you a little context. First, who's really building the car? is built by a company called JAC Motors, JAC Motors, which is partly owned by, wait for it, Volkswagen. And why does that matter? Because Volkswagen owns a handmade luxury company called Bentley Motors. And it's owned Bentley since 1998. So you got to imagine some of that DNA has made it into this car. Don't kid yourself. The Maxtro parks by itself and features, if you can imagine, a 40-inch screen with around, get this, 40 speakers for the entertainment of VIPs stretching their legs in the back seat. With all those extras, the car costs the equivalent of only $173,000. And a version without the big screen can be had for as little as $104,000. Half the price of a starter Mercedes Maybach sedan and a quarter of what a basic Rolls-Royce costs in the United States. And they're right. If you were a listener about this time last year, or actually a couple of years ago, you might remember I talked about and experienced a Rolls-Royce coupe, two-door coupe. The price of that vehicle, I did not drive it. I sat in it. I was not going to drive it. $505,000 for that vehicle, handmade. I got to know that Volkswagen's got a hand. If they've got a hand in this, partially owned by Volkswagen, trust me, some of that Bentley engineering made its way into this thing. It's a maxed out car for a very affordable price. And it's definitely challenging the Maybach and 7 Series BMW. And before you rush to get one, you can't buy it outside of China. We'll back to that in a minute. Let's think this through for a minute. China, the Chinese auto industry, is a hyper-competitive, not just competitive, they're hyper-competitive. And they're looking for all kinds of ways to get advantage, break out, gain traction, get sales. And that means that every part of everything they do is supercharged, turbocharged, pushed to the limit. Matter of fact, in China, corporate has a name for it. They call it 996. 996. Where you're working 9 hours a day in a 9-day cycle for a while. Yeah, they push. It is not a 9 to 5. They don't do 9 to 5 in China. When you are in a hyper-competitive business, you evolve or you die, and it doesn't take years, it takes months. What are they saying? We want our place. To get as good, we have to start somewhere. We start with this car, which is 100% electric, almost relatively autonomous. I don't think it's full autonomy, but it's close. And we're going to sell it comparatively at a bargain basement price to get you in it. While such comparisons may seem heretical, Chinese car makers have shown an ability to surprise. Context. 6 years ago, 2020, they exported 1 million vehicles worldwide. 1 million. Last year, 2025, 5 years later, that number was over 7 million. Adding to China's lead as the number one car exporter in the world. Oh, and in case you were wondering the size of the Chinese new car market, it's better than double the U.S. market. It's 37 million vehicles. And that's still low for a country that has over 1.4 billion in population. They ain't even scratched the surface with everything they're doing. You probably heard of Huawei and their telephones and their cell phones and how they've been blocking the United States. But what you may not realize is they do more than that. Much like BYD, they're a conglomerate that makes semiconductors, consumer electronics, and much else. Brings a smartphone-inspired business model to the car business. That's exactly what BYD did. And also, for more context, Berkshire Hathaway was an early investor in BYD. They've reduced their stake since, but they saw it early and they invested. They sell these cars in their same showrooms with the fancy phones. So they went into production last year. How many did they sell? A little more than 17,000 of them have been delivered as of the end of April since the car was introduced a year ago. So what does that mean? It means that this vehicle is being built in a boutique kind of way, much the same way Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and the others are built. But they do it with greater precision. Now, the article goes on to where a representative from Rolls-Royce sniffs and says, that's the biggest difference with Chinese cars. No matter how high-end they are, they're still mass-produced. Let me give you a horror story about a hand-produced Bentley for a client of mine. They did not check in final production the fact that they didn't put any fluid in the rear differential. The dealer missed it too. My client's on his way to church one Sunday morning doing 35 miles an hour, and the car stalls. He can't put it into gear. Had to get it shipped to the dealer, which is out of state, which is in St. Louis. It was not a good opportunity. So I don't want to hear nothing about handmade. When his $60,000 Lexuses were perfect, every single one, and he had 7 of them, over a course of 20 years, the one Bentley he owned was a nightmare. It cost 3 times what his Lexuses cost. He got about 3 Lexuses and had 40 or 50 grand left over. Trust me when I tell you, that was a difficult conversation to have. Don't plan to have that again.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.